Today, we delve deep into a walking extinction event. A monster Tigrex? Wait, haven't we done Tigrex? Wasn't it supposed to be...
Gore Magala! Fear and despair!
Oh yes, my fellow hunters, today is the day of reckoning. Today is the day of darkness. Today is the day of Gore Magala. A mysterious walking extinction event, a shadow of death that passes over the land and is capable, if left unchecked, of rendering an entire country, continent, planet, barren and lifeless. This then is the Black Eclipse Wyvern, and he is the master of the frenzy. But before we get to what Gore Magala is known for best, well, let's get to the start of Gore Magala, Monster Hunter 4, the 4th generation, heralding in a whole new era of hunting fun, and with it came Gore Magala as the flagship of it all. And not just the flagship, but for the first time, a story. Now, of course, previous Monster Hunter games have had story. There is a lot there if you look into it. But the story has always been kind of the back seat. It's not really had a chief focus. It's mostly just a very thin veil to get you to keep hunting. Whereas that kind of changed for the first time in Monster Hunter 4. Because Gore Magala was the frenzy, and the frenzy was the story, this mysterious cloud of shadow that would take over monsters, drive them insane, make them rampage and decimate everything on their path, destroying all living things. A crisis, not just in the community, but for the Hunters Guild. What was causing it? And how do we stop it? And that, and Gore Magala as the answer, permeated the entire experience. It was woven into the membrane of all the hunting that you did, and it became the end game once Apexes and Ystones and all of that goodness came to the fore. Climaxing, of course, in the heavenly dragon himself. But we'll get to that later. Firstly then, Gore Magala. What exactly is he? An elder dragon? No. A flying wyvern? No. He was and still remains uncategorized, unknown. Gore Magala is simply... So Gore Magala then saw a brand new form enter Monster Hunter. Elder Dragon E with the 4 legs and 2 wings, but a lot bulkier. A skeleton then that would go on to be used for the likes of Valstrax, for the likes of Nergigante. But in Gore Magala's case, it was unique beyond that. For when pushed into its frenzy state, well then its wing claws become wing arms, and I guess wing legs, allowing it to move and attack with much more fury, power, and precision. Agility too increased massively by, having 6 legs, which is one hell of an incredible sight to see. And I do love that Gore Magala being able to go,
"Don't make me angry or I'll get my extra pair of legs out,"
is not the most unique thing about him. Gore Magala's form is quite literally supposed to be formless. He is almost singularly this dark, shiny colour that makes him simply blend into himself, disappearing into any backdrop as his silhouette is broken up against the shadows behind him. He really is a walking enigma. It is not until he is agitated that the purple starts a-glowing and his wings start a-showing. But we are getting ahead of ourselves here. See, Gore Magala is a baby, though baby is the wrong word. More akin would be a larva. Much how dragonflies start their life as a vicious underwater predator before metamorphosing into, well, a vicious airborne predator, Gore Magala has something much, much worse yet to turn into. And in order to do that, it has to live long enough. And, well, that means that for Gore Magala, life is essentially course, he is, in his own right, a ferociously powerful monster, so he could hold his own in tussles, but the thing is, he's not that powerful, and that's kind of the key here. In terms of his pure form, his physical strength, the sharpness of his claws, the bite of his bite, he really isn't up there when compared to other kind of non-Elder Dragon flagships. Now don't get me wrong, he's not completely pathetic, he can, you know, stomp on an injured, surprised Tigrex, of course, but in a fresh 1v1 Tigrex versus Gore, well, Gore is not coming out of that one. But the thing is, Gore doesn't need any of these kind of physical traits because he has the ultimate weapon hiding inside him the entire time. Also, he's blind. No, I know you might be thinking, like, really, you're about to finally start talking about the frenzy virus? You know, like, the coolest thing about Gore Magala, and then you just sidestep to him being blind. Well, the thing is, the frenzy virus is how he compensates for being blind. It's how he sees the world. See, the frenzy virus is both a hunting mechanism, but also a simply existence mechanism when it comes to Gore Magala. The frenzy virus source is, well, the hairs on his wings. It's his scales as they get detached and disintegrate into particles that spread through the air. It's in his breath, which is loaded with the stuff. And as all of this drifts through the environment, lands upon objects and creatures, well, it paints a picture for Gore Magala. He can sense it. He can tell what is around him based on how his wing hair, well, interacts with it. And indeed, that wing glow, that extra wing arm mode, that frenzy state where not his horns, but his feelers erupt from the top of his head is when his senses are at their most precise, when the atmosphere is so dense with his scales, with his hair, with his breath, he can see everything. And in that state, he is king, and he unleashes his full, unstoppable arsenal against you. So while this frenzy cloud of darkness might be lights on for Gore Magala, it's definitely lights out for anyone who breathes it in. And any monster that does indeed take them on, well, goes a little bit psychopath mental and then dies. It grips the brain and changes the very instinct and behavior of the monster afflicted. Much like the cordyceps fungus takes control of an ant, forcing it to climb high before making it bite down on a branch and become a spawning point for more and more spores to drift on the breeze. Well, Gore Magala uses this frenzy to become both the laziest and most effective hunter in the Monster Hunter world, because all he needs do is infect a single creature and then escape, which is what he does do. That creature then goes mental. His vocal cords swell, causing shrill roars to replace the deep bellows. The skin gets discolored, it gets harder. He ends up exhuming this frenzy himself as the virus runs rampant, billowing through the system. The eyes fill red with rage and blood, and all that is left of a once majestic monster is a mindless killing machine that will destroy its environment, destroy everything that breathes, without a care for its own personal safety. It will tear through its home, attacking everything it comes across, and in doing so will deeply hurt itself. See, the instinct of self-preservation is very much switched off in a frenzied monster. They will hit things so hard they break their own bones. But that also makes them much more dangerous. It makes them faster, it makes them more powerful, it makes them more unpredictable. A monster afflicted by frenzy essentially gets a tier upgrade. A Baroth with frenzy could very much pose a decent threat to a Diablos without it. So, that's pretty bad. But worse still is that a frenzied monster can infect other monsters. And so it continues, further and further, reaching more and more, until an entire swath of land is bereft of life, still silent, a monument to the corpses of every living creature that used to call it home. And indeed, that happened a long, long time ago to the mountain range around Heaven's Mount, where, well, Gore Magala's more powerful form rendered the entire region bereft of anything that breathes. And once then the frenzy virus has purged the area around the Gore Magala, well, all it has left to do is feed in peace and stockpile the energy needed for its final transformation. But before we get to that, the virus is not, well, deadly to all. In hunters, it makes them more aggressive, yes, but not mindlessly so. And indeed, if they can deal enough damage to that which infected them, they will gain strength, they will gain power, also known as a boost to their affinity. However, if they fear the virus, if they let it incubate and take hold within them, well then they take more damage from any attack with frenzy behind it. They lose the ability to heal naturally from any wound, and will slowly and surely meet a grim end. And beyond that, certain monsters can turn the virus to their advantage as well. These are known as the apex monsters. They who have strong wills, strong constitutions, the strength to just refuse to die. Well, they will master the virus, keep the enhanced strength, the speed, the durability, but lose the kind of, awkward side effect of mindless killing and death. They, then, are truly ferocious combatants, and they are some of the most powerful, challenging encounters a hunter can ever face. Apex Rajang being the most legendarily feared of these creatures. Without special equipment, well, an apex monster's hide will bounce any attack. It will only take 20% damage and generally be a miserable time. Fortunately, wise stones were created to combat this, but the apex monsters are truly, absolutely horrifying. And in most cases, even elder dragons would give them a wide berth. So, Gore Magala then. Quite a fun fight. He really did bring something that nothing had before. He moved in a way unlike anything had before, and he had this frenzy kind of back and forth where you either got aggressive and danced his dance, or you suffered huge negatives for being afraid to do so. Having these extra arms gave him ways to attack that, again, hunters had just not seen. He really brings this striking look of this living darkness, while also being such a mystery both in the hunt and the story. He really is one of the most loved monsters, and it very much is for good reason. But of course, he does go further. When he is ready, he will take on his adult form.
I'm Shagaru Magala Gore. I am your father. I cover everything in darkness I bring. It's a frenzy, but I ain't your frenzy. So let's begin. Let me hear your wail. And by the way, what you think of my golden scales?
This then is Shagaru Magala, an elder dragon and an adult Gore Magala. He is known as the Heavenly Revolving Dragon, known also as Heaven's Wheel. He is the light to Gore Magala's shadow. Adorned in golden shimmering scales, he glows from atop Heaven's Mount, his throne. Known also as the punishing god of the mountains, he should be feared and revered as such. See, Shagaru Magala is, well, set on destroying everything. The distinctive radiant light of the mature Gore Magala has been seen in the sanctuary of Heaven's Mount. Some believe Shagaru Magala was the foul wind that withered a mountain, a calamity spoken of in ancient texts. And indeed, yep, that was him. So he is just Gore Magala turned up to 11, wing arms always out, now able to see, horns truly as horns. The frenzy has been mastered, the explosions of it devastating, his strikes empowered. He can implant mines of the stuff into the ground that trigger on unfortunate hunters. He can spread the frenzy unlike anything, whereas Gore does it to simply survive as his instinct, and very rarely does it go beyond a single forest or small locale, whereas with Shagaru is concerned, he deliberately spreads it far and wide as possible, and is more than capable of doing so. He is a threat to absolutely huge swaths of lands. For a Shagaru Magala's first objective upon coming to be is to purge everything for miles around, ensuring that every other Gore Magala in the area is bereft of any food source before being killed themselves by the Shagaru. It is quite brutal. It takes years for a Gore Magala to be able to molt, and the first one that does, well, is a death sentence to every other one that didn't quite make it. And indeed, a Gore Magala being interrupted mid-shed, prevented, is what created Chaotic Gore Magala, a variant which is, well, half and half. Half Shagaru, half Gore, and all something quite different. While not quite as powerful as a full Shagaru Magala, of course, it is definitely almost as threatening. It has been sent mad by this interruption. Its half and half nature. It rebels against this, well, now eternal state of twistedness it is trapped within, for it can never finish the molt, and it can never go back to being just Gore Magala. It is violent, it is aggressive, and it is one hell of a bad omen to run into it. Now, on a lonely, lonely mountain, Shagaru Magala will release not just the frenzy virus, but a parasite in the air that is the offspring. They will float again like the spores of the cordyceps before attaching to a host, growing, and, well, using it as first nutrition and a living nursery, before bursting out of the body and starting the cycle once more. And if that cycle is left unchecked, well, you can see how the spread of it would be threatening to life itself. There have been 3 Gore Magala that have existed and have been confirmed, 2 of which slain, the 3rd is wandering randomly, and could be encountered at any time. But will it be encountered in Rise? That is the question. Well, to me, I think it's almost a certain 99.9% no. As much as I would love to have Gore Magala back, as much as I would adore to face him once more along with Shagaru, the fact that we have now in the English translation Apex Monsters just makes it so confusing if they put Gore Magala in. But beyond that, it's so difficult to put Gore Magala in the game, but also then do nothing with the frenzy virus. It has to be addressed, more so than ever now Monster Hunter does have a real, or at least greater focus on story. You can't just shove Gore Magala in and hand-wave the frenzy virus. They did in Generations and Generations Ultimate because, you know, it was a celebration anniversary game. Just put all the monsters in and have fun, alright? It didn't need a story and essentially barely had one. But when you talk Rise and future Monster Hunter games, you have to really be able to justify it. And also, as much as I love his fight, it doesn't really bring anything that would be specifically incredibly good in regards to Wirebugs. There's nothing that he does that I'm like, oh god, imagine being able to jump over that or interact with that in the air. There's just not quite that sort of wow factor. Despite the entire creature being a walking wow factor, I don't think it's the right one for Rise. I really don't. The idea of perhaps in the future one of the expansion monsters is like a mini Frenzy story where the wandering Shagaru comes to town and we have to stop it, face a few specifically chosen Frenzy monsters, and, you know, canonically, story-wise, we end the outbreak before it can begin, and that's how it's dealt with, and then you can just go hunt them for their gear. That might work, but the thing is, Gore Magala is almost a victim of his own success in that any game he is part of, it's so difficult for him to not steal the spotlight, and I feel like it's made him a very awkward monster for them to implement in the future in a way that is both satisfying for us and not crippling for the game. So I'm not sure. But that said, he is easily one of my favourite monsters. He is so cool. I love his skeleton. The wing arms is amazing. His fight is like nothing else. And the frenzy virus is just purely, goddamn. It really is. So until next time then, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Let me know what you think about Mr. Gore. And please consider supporting the channel on Patreon down below. It really is our lifeblood. A goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.